Hey everyone, welcome back to JP Reacts. Today, covering foreign policy, everybody's favorite topic, especially with the tragedy that's happening right now in Ukraine, with Putin basically killing and murdering thousands of Ukrainians every single day. Our thoughts are out to people of Ukraine, but I want to talk some foreign policy. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned after this. Welcome back. So, we're talking about foreign policy, and I got a post pulled up from r/politics. It doesn't really have a lot to it, but I wanted to bring it up so we could talk about it a little bit. Okay, so the post says, U.S. approval in most NATO countries rose by double digits under Biden compared to Trump, who often criticized the alliance while praising Putin. So why is that? Why are countries viewing the United States in a more favorable light, especially NATO countries, since Biden has taken office than when Trump was in office? Basically, it comes down to Trump basically did whatever Putin wanted. We don't know why he did those things. If Putin had something on him that would destroy him or what, or Putin knew had somebody on the inside but wouldn't tell him who to kill him or what. We don't know why. Why this situation? Or maybe he just believes that Putin is some sort of hero on the international stage. Clearly he's not after what's going on in Ukraine. But when Trump looked at NATO, he heard what Putin had told him to do, and Putin wanted NATO gone, especially from the Eastern Europe. He wanted the Russian Federation to become the Soviet Union again. Maybe not under communism, but under his dictatorship. And he saw NATO as a threat to that, which it is. It is a threat to that. That's what NATO is there for, has always been. History in NATO has been to defend Europe from the Soviet Union, now Russia, right? And as countries became independent, more and more countries joined NATO. Poland, Germany, Eastern Germany, and then the Baltic states, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. Ukraine had also flirted with it. And clearly what would have happened if Trump won again, right? So say Trump won 2020 and he's still president now. Would Putin have invaded Ukraine? I'm not sure he would have. And the reason I say that is Trump had already laid the groundwork of weakening NATO. And it was probably likely that Trump would have pulled the United States out of NATO, which would have been exactly what Putin wanted. A Europe that basically it had to fend for itself. And would he have invaded Ukraine? It's still possible. It's still possible under Trump he could have invaded Ukraine. But could he get the same results that he wanted without having to do that? And because the political pressure in the United States, if he had invaded them and they didn't just come on board automatically, would have been incredible for Trump. And it's quite possible there could have been some major things happening in the United States if that would have happened. NATO countries know how important, in Europe, know how important NATO is to their survival in the face of Russian aggression, and also to the stability of Europe in general. So the fact that President Biden is a better leader of NATO, is more directly tied and believes in NATO's mission. Obviously, those countries' populations know what a threat Russia is, especially with the invasion of Ukraine. And it makes total sense that they would view Biden in a more positive light, right? And the facts are that without NATO, those countries would be under threat too. Who knows? Maybe, with the United States walks away from NATO, the NATO basically dissolves. Maybe they stick together. Canada and Europe stick together and they hold fast. It's possible. But Europe would be in direct threat from Russia. all of Europe would be a direct threat from Russia, not just Eastern Europe. And they know that. So they value NATO, and they see the positives and the fact that Biden is so strongly in favor of NATO, where Trump was basically doing everything he can to destroy it from the inside. Basically rings true on why they have a more favorable view of President Biden than they do of President Trump. Now, there was a comment in this thread. It's not necessarily tied to this international conversation, but it does really highlight some of what these last few videos have talked about in relation to Democrats and Republicans. Let's take a look. So this is from Shazam. I love the names. This is kind of a response, why are your states still red? There was a conversation above this talking about why when Republicans are actively hurting their states, why do people still vote for Republicans? It says because a lot of people still haven't realized that hoping and praying that their Twitter posts will somehow magically make Republicans change course is a pipe dream, and that you have to vote Democrats into office in order to create the leverage, the legislature, to fix the problem. That's a weird sentence. Which, yes, means voting blue no matter who. Okay. A common talking point is, what if Democrats are just like Republicans? Well, then by electing them, it's merely a lateral move rather than a negative move. The last time Democrats had a mandate was around 20 years ago. You can't tell me that letting Republicans run amok with our government isn't directly related. Sorry if that hurts your feelings, but if it does, I hope you're very satisfied with 2 decades of Republicans running Congress has gotten this country. So that's what it comes down to at the end of the day, is online activism is just that. It's just online. It doesn't translate into actual results out in the real world. So your Twitter feed may be great, but it's not going to change minds. You need to vote, and you need to vote for the best candidate possible. Right now, I would say that's Democrats. I'm not going to show for every single Democrat that's out there. Some of them pretty much suck. But when elections are about choices, right? It's not about, hey, this person, it meets everything I think and everything that I believe in. This person believes the same thing. You're never going to find that person unless it's you running yourself. What you need to think about is this is a choice between, and right now it's always going to be until something dramatically changes. It's going to be a choice between 2, Republican and Democrat. So who is the best choice amongst those 2? That's the civil duty you have to do. Not I need to be inspired to vote. It's who you're making a choice, and by not voting, you're choosing to basically give an advantage to the person that you like the least. So say it's Democrat and Republican running, you don't really like the Democrat, but you absolutely hate the Republican, right, in the race. You can't stand them, right? But you don't really like the Democrat either. He's better than the Republican, but he's not great, or she's not great, right? So you decide you're going to stay home. You're not going to vote at all, because you don't like really either one of them. So who does that help? That helps the Republican, right? Because if you would have gone and voted, you likely would have voted for the Democrat, right? So the fact that you didn't vote at all helps the person that you like the least win. So that's why you need to vote every single time. And it's a choice, and make the choice. Whatever is the best choice. And the next time around, if you don't like the choices, make sure you have better choices the next time. That's why there's elections every 2 years. That's why president gets reelected every 4. You have another chance to make it right the next time. Don't wait to be inspired to vote. Vote for the person that is the best choice amongst the 2 choices, and make that what your legacy is. Because if you don't vote, the person you like the least is going to get helped by that. But hopefully this is a little informative about why Biden is seen as better than Trump in the NATO countries. It makes sense. I'm hearing that Finland and Sweden may be joining NATO too to help with their defense, because Russia's threatening them as well. So let me know what you think about that. Do you think Finland and Sweden should join NATO? Do you think Ukraine should join NATO? Why do you think that the NATO countries in Europe have a higher approval of the United States under Biden than under Trump? Maybe I missed something. Let me know below. But if this is your first time here, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it out to your friends. We'd like to have a robust conversation here. So until next time, have a great night. Bye.